I will call the zoning board of appeals meeting to order. I'm Sarah Mellish, the chair. On my right is Sean Zahn. On my left is Georgia Pendergast and Rob Scott. We only appear to have 4 people here tonight. I was expecting 5, which means that in order for an application to be approved, the vote will need to be unanimous. And if it appears that there's a question, then I'll take a straw poll vote first, which would give the applicant an opportunity to continue until we have a full board. Okay. The first item on the agenda is 1 School Street. I move to open the public hearing for the application of AGEM Management for a special permit under section 7.2 and 12.5 of the zoning bylaw and or other relief as may be necessary. Hold on just a moment. For a change of use from multi-family apartments to mixed use with multi-family apartments and a mercantile unit on the first floor in a non-conforming structure on a non-conforming lot at 1 School Street, Assessor's Map number 51, lot number 57 in District G, filed with the town clerk on April 17th, 2025. Do I have a second to open the meeting?
Second.
Sean seconds. Take a vote. Rob?
Yes.
Georgia?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Sarah votes yes. Who is here to present the application? Please state your name and who you are.
My name is Seth Morrissey. I'm with Olsen Lewis Architects. I'm also here joined by my colleague John Carden. We are representing AGEM Management.
And please speak up, because we're recording this. This meeting is being recorded.
Of course. Can I share?
I believe I just said okay. Did it come up? Does it come up? Okay, good.
Great. Now one can see my screen. What you're looking at here is just the existing site plan at 1 School Street. We're not expanding the footprint at all at the existing site because it's a pretty tight site, as you are aware. Just a couple of the existing features. We are at the corner of School Street and Union Street. The structure itself really consists of 2 buildings. There's one on Union Street, and then there's one that faces School Street back. Before we dive into kind of the proposed use that we're proposing for the change of use of the first floor, I just wanted to take a look at the history of the site itself just a little bit. Just be brief, but this was an image from 1880, where the original structure was on facing Union Street. You'll see that there's a retail space on the first floor. I believe this was the original Allen's Pharmacy. Again, another image of the property. Here you can see both structures, the one on School Street and the one facing Union Street. The first floor on both structures appear to be retail use in this photo, which is around 1895. Just another image showing kind of the streetscape. This is looking down from Town Hall Square, looking down School Street. You'll see Union Street facade on the right with the commercial use on the first floor. And then it appears there's some development of retail spaces across the street on School Street. And then sometime in between that, the photo in the late 1800s and the early 1900s, there must have been a fire of some sort, or where they renovated the structure substantially, and that's where they They applied this stucco facade and changed the kind of the roof lines a little bit more on the Union Street structure, but they still kept the two retail spaces on the first whole structure. Again, and this is an image that was kind of pulled from a postcard. Just a little bit later on, not much later. This just shows the retail space on Union Street. And this is kind of what we are proposing to bring it back. Not exactly like this, but bring some kind of that original flavor and character of the existing structure back to this. And this is probably what you guys are more familiar with. This was School Street about a year and a half ago. So this was when it was renovated to at some point, not exactly sure when it was changed, when the uses from retail space got changed to changed to dwelling units. So it originally existed as 13 dwelling units around about 2 years ago. So on the first floor, there's 2 units. There's 2 units per floor in each structure. And as you can see, it's pretty dilapidated. We're trying to renovate it and bring back the prominence of the structure to the neighborhood, really celebrate it a little bit more. That brings us to our proposal. So we are proposing to change one of the units on the first floor facing Union Street to a retail space. This unit is highlighted on the first floor in the red block. It would only be facing Union Street, and the back portion of the Union Street structure would remain a dwelling unit. That would reduce the dwelling units to 12 units, and then there would be a retail space of around 676 square. In doing that, we're going to bring back the storefront facade facing Union and School Street with large glass openings to keep the street active. We are removing the stucco finish, as you probably are aware.
Yes.
So that'll be going to a traditional fabric in shingle style.
So I got a couple of quick things.
Mm-hmm.
As you guys know from the other work that Ed and his son Arthur have done in town, their favorite thing to do is to take these historic buildings, renovate them heavily. In some cases, rebuild them from the inside out and try and bring back that historic character. It's not cheap. It's actually quite difficult to do. So Ed and Arthur have done this with the properties that are across the street on School Street, and are in the process of doing it also with 7 Central, which used to be the restaurant. So this is the intent and the hope that they'll do the same with this building. And I don't think it really occurred to them to change the use on the first floor until they saw these historic images. And as you know, retail space in a small town like ours is sort of coveted, although there are several empty spots, unfortunately, around town right now. It's the hope that the town can be vibrant with lots of small shops like this. It's a mixed-use model, which is really great, having housing above, retail down below. Last thing to add, it's kind of interesting. This was the center of town for a very long time, until the train came in and everything kind of moved down towards Crosby's, right? But this little intersection of streets was Main Street, downtown Manchester. And as a result, because it was developed, of course, when there were horses and no cars, there was no infrastructure for parking, right? I mean, in a way, luckily, there aren't parking lots in front of these buildings, right? But it is also a challenge because the only parking then is on the street side. And you might recall that there was space in front of this building until a couple of years ago when they built the bulb, which was a way to ease that corner, I think, and make it a little bit more pedestrian safe. So in any case, we're not changing any of the, we're not adding parking in terms of spaces. Obviously, what we have here is what we've got. But by reducing the number of units from 13 to 12, we're hoping that might help in terms of the residential load on the building. And we're simply not expecting people to park for the retail here. As you know, there's parking directly behind this building that's a public lot within 300 feet of the property, as well as parking on adjacent roads in and around this.
We're gonna, the board will ask their questions first, okay, and then we'll take the public. Am I correct that the only two entrances to the retail are from Union and from that gravel driveway on the right side as you're facing Union? So you can't reach it from School Street. You can't enter from School Street.
Right.
Okay. Bob, do you have any questions?
So the door that's going to be on the side, is that your accessible means of getting into the?
Yep.
Are you also looking for a variance or a special permit for the parking spots, or in this case, lack thereof?
Yeah, it's sort of an interesting thing because it's an existing building.
Right, but you're changing the use.
We are.
So if you're going to have a business use group, you'd have to have parking spaces, and you'd also have to have handicap parking spaces. So I understand you want a special permit to change the use from, an R2 to a mixed use with a business. But I mean, is the lack of a parking space also included in that? Like, how are we going to write that up without parking for the business?
Yeah, I think that's kind of up to you guys.
I think the challenge we have is that there's not a single retail commercial space on Central or Union that has off-street parking. So it makes it difficult for us to impose off-street parking in this situation. I think there is parking on Central, which is close, on street, and the town hall parking.
I'm just wondering if we're going to have to just write the parking issue into if this passes.
We can, yeah, we certainly can.
So right now, it's just residential units.
Correct.
When that does change, that residential unit that was once unit one, or whatever, the retail is taking out a unit. So that parking spot for that unit, what will that become?
Never existed.
It never existed, okay. But someone had mentioned there's a public lot behind
Yes.
this space.
No, town hall.
Not
Oh, okay,
public.
town hall, okay.
So the public lot is this one behind
Yeah,
town hall.
yeah, where I park today,
Correct.
Okay.
The lot behind the building
yes.
is actually a property. It's a shared space.
I think we'll hear
We're not
from the
taking comments
neighbors,
from the
Yeah.
public.
but okay.
So let me try and be as accurate as possible with it.
And then you guys can jump in after what public comment.
The one School Street property extends into that gravel area. However, there is an easement in place
Okay,
that I believe allows parking for the 7 School Street building to use that, including the easement space of 1 School Street. That's what it appears. I haven't seen the language of the easement, but there is a note on the drawing right there.
But I think that we can easily.
yeah, I think my only question was,
We can easily write into our decision that the retail space will not be able to use
Exactly.
any of that parking area.
if you guys had
behind
thought
one
about
school.
signage to say, hey, you can't park here if this
Right.
is for
Yeah, I think,
commercial business,
I
that
think
was
totally-
really my question.
Totally reasonable.
Okay.
Yes.
Perfect.
to make it very clear that that
Yeah,
area
you
is
can't
not
pull in here and
available.
park and then go into
Right.
the store. You need to find somewhere on the public way. All right.
Sean,
I'm good.
okay. We did receive a letter, which I think all members of the board received.
I can step that up.
I can locate that again. Does anybody have that letter with them? I have, wait, it's. Here it is. It was from Maria K. Mitchell, who lives in Unit 1 of that 7 School Street, which is the white building beyond this one on School Street, which is condos.
Yep.
3 condos. Okay. And she said that she's planning to attend via Zoom, and that her request is that no permit allowing commercial and mercantile use of the sole parking space of 1 School Street in the driveway shared between 7 School and 1 School be issued. So she's asking that that parking area behind on School isn't used. No mercantile use permits or doorways for public access to the mercantile area be issued, since granting such public access would negatively impact on the shared driveway space and result in trespass under 7 School. And I think they've confirmed the only access is from Union Street and that gravel driveway off of Union. And then she notes her frustration with AGEM's frequent use of 7 School Street's parking spaces as they work on 1 School Street, without consideration of our full rights to that space as owners of the garden and shared driveway space. And she said they have many concerns about how this project will impact the quality of life at 7 School Street. Deterioration of property value. Okay. I'll take comments from members of the public in the room first. Please state your name and address, and we'll take your comments.
Robbie Brannock, I live at 120 Pleasant Street, but one of the owners from 7 School Street, the
Okay.
condo complex. And so as was mentioned in the letter, our only concern really is that of the parking spaces that are 4 deeded to the condo, 2 are an easement. And just the concern is just that there would be too much commercial traffic, or we would lose our spaces, or people would, use that as a parking space to go into the mercantile area. So our request is just that from a parking standpoint, like you mentioned earlier, that could be addressed.
Here's a condition that I was considering.
Sure.
Let me know if it helps. The adjacent parking area to the north of the building on School Street shall not be used for any purpose to support the commercial/retail space, including parking for employees, retail patrons, deliveries to the commercial retail space, or cleaning crews.
That seems reasonable.
Does that help?
Yeah, I think that seems reasonable to me.
I mean, my name's Elizabeth Sears, owner, unit number 3 at 7 School Street. And I am the one that is experiencing most of the hardship as it relates to age, Edwards Company using my spaces incessantly. And they have put a dumpster there in a spot that, as I understand it, through Linda Crosby and my documents, that the spot that does go to 1 School Street was supposed to only be a drop-off spot. So it wasn't any spot to be used permanently by the residents of the building, but more as a way to drop off groceries or like their laundry or something. So, and now, looks like, if there was some way to put some parameters around, to reinforce those parameters, that it's only for residential use, that it, again, to your point, that it won't be available for any commercial use associated with that building. My concern is that with the change, if we were to change the use, there's already a limit on parking in town. People and a lot of the businesses are complaining that they don't have enough parking for their own customers. And theoretically, customers could be coming from all over, not just in town. So they will not know that there's parking behind town hall for public parking. And, you know, they might just pull right in to 7 School Street thinking, oh, it's behind the building. So that's a huge concern for me.
We can say to have signage installed.
Resident parking only.
The other question I have, is there any reason why the dumpster can't be on that gravel driveway on the right of Union for the balance of the construction?
Aside from the fact that it's a huge inconvenience for us, and then oftentimes when they empty it and then they replace it, it's put into one of my spots.
And they close
So
down School
I-
Street.
Yeah, exactly. And so then that requires me to wait to actually pull into my own spot. So I have to text somebody, Junior, you know, to get him to call somebody to get them to come and move it. Sometimes they haven't moved it. So then I don't have, you know, I can't have guests. I can't, you know, I'm just at the mercy of whatever they're doing that day. I've had roofers there at 7 o'clock at night on a Friday night, and they parked horizontally across my spots. I mean, I could show you picture after picture after picture. And it's just, I'm at my wit's end.
Mhm.
Prior to the construction
Mhm.
of AGM working on this building,
Yep.
did you have issues with your parking spot?
Yes.
And what did those stem from?
They stemmed from the residents of that building,
Of 7 Central?
of 1 School Street.
Okay.
Residents either not understanding the use of that one spot, and they would park in my spots. Some
Okay.
people, sometimes they would park overnight in my spots. And that would, you know, a lot of times they'll park crisscross in my spots to drop off their groceries. But that requires me to get out of my car, go look through the building,
Yeah.
find somebody that's home, or just wait.
So it's a gravel parking lot, so obviously it's not striped and pavement.
Right.
Are there signs for each unit?
No, we did at one point put a chalk line, but obviously that's
Yeah, that
disintegrated with
yeah.
all the construction and everything that's happened. But even with that, the residents, it just wasn't communicated properly to them, or they just chose to not abide by the parameters. And Robbie, you've even had people park in your spots during the day, correct?
We have, I mean, we've owned the property for
20-something
20-something years. And we've had people park there, and this is not a shot at the construction guys. It's been, people will just drive in and be like, oh, open spot.
Yeah.
And then be gone for the day. But that is not to do with the construction guys or anything like that. That's just has happened. And so we just want to, our biggest concern really is just, like you mentioned, people understanding that it's not a public parking spot. It's great because it's right downtown. It's close to everything, but unfortunately, we have people who live there who need those parking spots. So we just have to ensure that it wouldn't be suitable. It wouldn't be available. It's not ideal.
Okay. I mean, we can write something in, we can put a condition in that there be signage, and we can even say that, we could say, have the signage installed to clarify usage by 1 School Street by the residents, and agreed to by the residents of 7 School.
You agree with that, Mike?
Yeah, I mean, it's still going to happen, that's the thing. I mean, customers aren't going to understand.
We can only do so much, I
We
feel like.
can't solve
Yeah.
the parking for those additional residential units, unfortunately. I mean, our hands are tied. The only thing we can do is react to parking for the retail commercial space. And it's, I live on Bennett Street, and right now, nobody can park on the street because of all the construction going on,
I grew
So,
up on Bennett Street, so.
yeah. Manchester's not made for cars. Can you take your screen down so I can see if there's anybody on Zoom who would like to?
Hi, good evening. I'm Molly Mitchell. Legal name is Maria Mitchell. I sent your letter,
Yes.
and the information shared has been very helpful. Thank you. And I echo Liz and Robbie's concerns, and I'm open to the idea of signage. Curious, if it is registered for mercantile use, also School Street, and say, does that include a restaurant? Would a restaurant need a dumpster? And is this parking space currently in the shared driveway being considered for use like that or anything by AGEM, or would they be allowed that use?
I'm contemplating the fact that we could add a condition that says the construction dumpster and any residential dumpsters must be located in the gravel driveway to the right of the building on Union Street.
Or I'm sorry, sir, I think from what I took from her question was that if the mercantile use became a restaurant, which is required to have a full dumpster in the back of the,
Well, that's a separate question. I'm addressing
Okay.
where the
Oh, sorry,
dumpsters
yes.
are located.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it would increase rodent activity if it were, that case were to be.
Right, so if the building on Union Street and School Street, that space has been deeded to those buildings, and if it could be used residentially, that'd be wonderful. If giving them a mercantile permit opens that one parking space up to something like a permanent dumpster or anything, that I would have concerns. I understand, if they could move it now to the driveway, that'd be wonderful, but my bigger concern is the long term.
I mean, we can require that as condition of a special permit because what we're looking at is the change in use. So we can control the parking for the change in use. And say everything has to be on that. I don't know why dumpster isn't there.
Well, my thought is on that is that they've paved that, so it's all cobblestones right now. So, I could imagine that if it were a restaurant or a cafe of some sort, they would put tables out there.
It's a
To-
very,
to our- To our knowledge, there's no intent for it to be a restaurant. There's no room for a kitchen. I mean, it's a very small space. So that has never been mentioned.
yeah, it's not.
Then maybe as part of the adjustment or whatever's being suggested around the parking spaces, maybe there could be something about, no long-term dumpster storage available, something like that.
Yeah, we'll
Yeah,
make
like
it go on the Union Street side.
Yep. Okay.
And according to the plan we have, it states it's retail
Right.
and it allows for a half bath.
Mhm.
And what is there, a little refrigerator or something?
That's a slop sink, right?
Yeah, it's just a slot. It's a janitor's closet.
Oh, a sink, okay, thank you.
That's where they did.
And there's no kitchen.
No kitchen. And the room is actually not much bigger than this room.
So we can state this to be retail space, which would mean restaurant is a separate use. So if they wanted to change it to a restaurant, they'd have to come back before us.
Okay, wonderful.
Okay.
And, sorry, AJ, you presented the plan. Is the building that's on School Street slated for any kind of mercantile use or just the Union?
The only thing before us is a unit, a 676 square foot unit on Union Street with access only from Union Street and that gravel driveway to the right. There's no access from the School Street building.
Thank you.
There's a residential unit behind it that enters from that stairway on School Street to the residential unit.
Thank you.
Okay, anybody else on Zoom wish to speak on this application? Okay. Yep. With that, I will move to close the public hearing and have the board enter into deliberations with respect to the application. Do I have a second? Georgia. Take a vote. Rob?
Yes.
Georgia?
Yes.
Sean?
Yes.
Sarah votes yes. Okay. So we obviously have a concern about parking, and you raised the issue. And one of the things that came to my mind is allowing retail space is consistent with the historical nature of the structure and is in keeping with the town's master plan to promote and maintain retail space on the first floor. And I think that, oh, and then I was going to say, and the use of on-street parking or parking in the town hall lot for the patrons of the retail space is consistent with other businesses on surrounding streets. Does that satisfy what you want, Rob?
Yeah.
It's, I mean, I just have a real issue with all of a sudden changing the rules in an area where there's no parking.
Yeah, no,
You can't.
No, I'm
I
not
agree.
saying that they should require parking
Okay.
spots. I just want it written into, you know.
So that, so you wanted to say that no off-street parking would be required?
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, if somebody decides to build a Walgreens someday, they're gonna look at this and say, hey, they didn't have.
Yeah, no, totally agree. Precedent.
Just by the Hooper building across the street. Okay. Sean, what are your thoughts?
No, I think everything's been pretty well addressed. I mean, the parking, probably the biggest issue with the whole thing. Other than that, I don't have any real concerns. I think it's good.
I was also going to make it clear in the motion that this is converting an existing apartment, so they can't go back and add more apartments. So you look at the size of the
Yeah,
apartment.
but still, you never know.
What else, Rob?
Nothing, I don't think.
Georgia?
My only comment was that I appreciate the design change for the windows, going back to what it was. I had to do the math 145 years ago, which is pretty crazy. I do appreciate that. And then also, I think it's a balance between private property parking and also the town advertising the parking that we do have available. So I think some burden falls on the applicant to prevent parking, but also a burden does fall on the town of Manchester to advertise the public parking that is available right across the street.
There's a big P up there.
There is. So it's just that balance, but I have no issue with the conditions.
I mean, do we want to specify that it can't be used as a restaurant?
I say retail space.
Retail?
It would be a
Well, I was
change
going to
in use
ask, is
again.
that a different use under the bylaw?
That's what,
Yes. Yeah, when you look at the usage,
Yeah, somebody could say, hey, I'm selling you donuts.
Yeah, now it's going to be a tiny little
Yeah.
cookie shop.
that's why we were talking
Yeah.
commercial retail, and I'm suggesting we change it to retail. So under the commercial uses, they have general retail uses, and then they have restaurant is separate.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
And personal general service establishment is separate, printing and publishing is separate,
Okay.
indoor recreational club or facility is separate. And business or professional office building is separate.
Okay, so I don't think there's a concern of the
No.
use changing
They don't.
by right. Yeah.
Okay. With that, I'll make this motion. Listen carefully in case you have changes. I move to approve the application of AGEM Management for a special permit under section 7.2 and 12.5 of the zoning bylaw, and other relief as may be necessary for a change of use from a structure containing 13 apartments to a structure containing 12 apartments and 1 retail unit on the first floor at 2 Union Street in a non-conforming structure on a non-conforming lot. At 1 School Street, Assessors Map number 51, Lot number 57 in District G, filed with the town clerk on April 17, 2025. Based on a finding that proposed conversion of an existing apartment into retail space at 2 Union Street, which is consistent with the historical nature of the structure and is in keeping with the town's master plan to promote and maintain retail space on the first floor in this area of downtown Manchester by the Sea, in a non-conforming structure on a non-conforming lot, is in harmony with the purpose and intent of the bylaw, will not be substantially more detrimental or injurious to the neighborhood in which it is located than the existing non-conforming use and structure, and that no off-street parking will be required since the use of on-street parking or parking in the town hall lot for the patrons of the retail space is consistent with the other businesses on the surrounding streets and the requirements under 12.5.2 of the zoning bylaw for the grant of a special permit have been met based on the following conditions. The retail unit shall be located as depicted on the proposed work, 1 School Street, prepared by Olson Lewis Plus, dated 4/12/2025. The adjacent parking area to the north of the building on School Street shall not be used for any purpose to support the retail space, including parking for employees, retail patrons, deliveries to the retail space, or cleaning crews. And signage shall be installed to clarify the usage by 1 School Street and agreed to by residents of 7 School Street. And the construction dumpster and any residential dumpsters must be, I'll say residential or retail dumpsters, just in case they're different, must be located in the gravel driveway to the right of the building on Union Street.
Does that include during construction?
Yes.
As of when?
Can we
Can we
pull our
specify?
building permit?
It won't be until we write the decision.
It might be a little tight in that zone right now. In a dumpster, I don't think there's a curb cut either. Get access.
Dumpsters don't need curb cuts, I can tell you.
And they don't, because they're currently walking, the guys are walking around, put stuff in the dumpster, or they're dropping it from the top of the roof.
They're using a 15-yard box, right?
It's small.
Exactly.
The small one.
No,
Yeah,
It's one of the
it
lower
changes.
ones,
yeah. But you can get one with the higher sides rather than the
Instead of long, you get taller.
exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. So they can get the same cubic yards of a dumpster in there, but in a different configuration. Should be able to get one that fits.
So you're saying it could go in the back, or no, put it in the side?
Side, we're saying the
So make
side.
it
Yeah,
taller.
I'm just saying get a different style dumpster.
Trying to see if the owner.
I thought I saw him.
Ed or Arthur, if you guys are on, do you want to comment on that, on the dumpster location for construction?
Does the dumpster need a building permit? Is it associated with a building permit?
No, it's a
Or is
fire
it
permit.
separate
Fire department permit.
fire department permit?
Hello?
Yes, who's speaking?
I'm sorry, this is Edward Flamia for
Great.
AGM Management LLC.
Okay,
And I lost my speaker here, so I can't hear so much. I apologize. Okay. Thank you very much for the meeting this evening. In reference to the dumpster parking in the back, I think someone mentioned a higher dumpster. If that's what it was asking, I will make sure we go with the higher size for the dumpster.
But
Um,
and what we're asking is, can you put it in that driveway to the right of Union Street instead of in the School Street area?
You know, the reason why I can't put it in there is because the truck that picks it up won't be able to pick it up, if that makes sense.
But
They won't be able to have they won't be able to drop it off or pick it up. If I could put it in the side of the let's call it the side of the building, I would love to do that because it just makes it easier for everyone, especially the truck that's dropping off. But they cannot get it in and out. They just can't do it. And I would love to put it there.
The new planter that was installed in front of the building overlaps in front of that area.
Yeah, so if you look at the first site plan in the package.
I don't know if I can. I understand and I think I received the card from, and I don't remember her name, but I think she rents the first floor out there. She was on the Zoom call
yeah,
right now.
Molly Mitchell.
Molly Mitchell, I apologize. And, I understand the frustration of the people that live behind. I can say that I appreciate very, very much, and I do. It's a long project. It's been going on for 2 years. I think the gentlemen from Olson and Lewis, both of them, might have highlighted a little bit. You know, it's like a Lego set. And we're working from the inside. We take each piece out, we throw it away, we put a new piece in. It's a long process. Keep in mind, the building in the back was built in 1725, and the building in the front is probably 1850. And I'm redoing everything possible. I just ask for a little bit more patience. I'm trying to get the facades all wrapped up by July 1st, the facades. I expect the whole project to be done by October 1st. If there's something I can do, if they suggest something that, I don't know, maybe I re-gravel the back parking lot that we have a parking spot in and help in that sense, I'll be glad to do that as a neighbor. I have no problem, but the only thing I can ask is just a little more patience. I know they've been putting up with it for the last 2 years, but a little bit more and we'll be out of there. And I hope that the building, makes the neighborhood that much better since when I've taken it over.
I have a question.
Thank you.
Could the town issue a street bond to put a dumpster directly on the street next to, say, the curb, and then that
They
way
wouldn't allow that.
they wouldn't allow that? They couldn't get a bond for that? No.
There's no way you can put a dumpster there. Imagine the traffic, we'd be blocking a lane of traffic.
Lots of land.
No, I meant on not on the side street in the front of the building. The street's much larger.
Yeah, and they bumped out that curb on the end, right? So there's like a recess.
Yeah. Okay, so it sounds like it's not feasible to include the construction dumpster, but we can include any residential or retail dumpsters go on that side.
I don't understand.
If I could add a question on that, if it's impossible now, why would it be, with the long term, will that work? The amendment you're writing in that will be on the Union driveway, is that still going to be possible?
They're not gonna have the same size.
You mean like trash bins, basically?
Yeah.
Trash bins or anything.
Right.
Yes, my question would be then, if it's, right now when they're emptying the dumpster on School Street, I mean, it's a narrow street, and the truck has to basically be literally across the entire street blocking traffic. There's more, as I haven't measured it, but as I see it, there seems to be a lot more room to maneuver on Union Street. So I don't quite understand why, if they had a shorter dumpster that's deeper.
Because the planter is blocking the entrance. There's no entrance curb
Oh,
cut
you
to the
can't get
street.
into the cobble driveway with the planter, I see.
So the extension of the sidewalk blocks that entrance.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So-
I'm sure it was an entrance at one point.
I see.
Yeah, planter.
The town created that planter, there's nothing we can do about
Right, no,
that.
I get that, but the driveway entrance is beyond that.
No, it's
No.
No, or the cobble driveway?
Yeah,
It's,
That's
the
not what it's
planter
showing.
extends in front of it.
Yeah, so this curb cut is actually for the neighbor over here in their driveway. So here, the planter is all the way to this line, this is the fence of.
but a car can pull in there, right?
And
No.
So how are they gonna put even residential dumpster
Okay,
in there?
we've closed the public hearing, so we
Oh, all
can't
right,
take any
sorry,
more.
okay.
comment.
So the gentleman mentioned October 1st, you were hoping to have the facade work done. Does that mean the dumpster will be gone?
He's saying the whole project by October 1st.
But this project by October 1st? Oh, okay, I got that. I thought
He
he
said
said,
facade by July 1st.
okay. So I didn't know if it was a separate project by October 1st, then the dumpster could be replaced for this work, but it sounds like it's, okay.
The dumpster would be an issue no matter whether it's being converted to a residential or a business or whatever. There's going to be a dumpster issue
Yeah, I mean,
while
if
they're
they-
doing construction.
I have a
And it's
problem,
not
yeah,
permanent.
I have a problem in
Yes.
my property that the house across the street's under construction and they run across my flower beds to get the dumpster in.
Yep.
And it destroyed my flower beds.
and the only other alternative would be the live load, and that's even worse than a dumpster,
Okay,
to be honest with you.
okay.
The dumpster is the lesser of two evils.
So
It's
that,
a temporary.
so that the final condition will be reworded to say, any residential or retail dumpster or trash bins must be located in the gravel driveway to the right of the building on Union Street. So at least this dumpster should be the end of the intrusion into that parking lot.
Yeah.
Between 1 and 7 School Street. Okay. You guys are okay with the conditions? Okay. Do I have a second?
Second.
Do I have a second? Any more discussion?
Nope.
Take a vote. Rob,
Yes.
Georgia,
Yes.
Don,
Yes.
and Sarah votes yes. I can write it, who would like to review it? Sean will review it, okay. I don't think I can read all my hand scratches. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
And make sure that the applicant is aware that he needs to request a building permit
yes. For 7 Central.
for 7 and for this.
Um,
Because the building permit he has does not include the terms of the special permit.
It's true. A change of use requires a building permit.
Okay. Next application is for 153 schools. Thank you for coming. I'm sorry, that we couldn't solve all the
All
problems.
right, thank you.
153 School Street. I move to open the public hearing for the application of John Harden, Olson Lewis Plus Architects on behalf of the Essex County Club for a special permit under section 7.2 and 12.5 of the zoning bylaw and or other relief as may be necessary to alter a non-conforming use by removing 3 paddleball courts, adding 4 paddleball courts, raise and reconstruct the paddleboard hut, altering the parking, constructing a 1,642 square foot addition on the rear of the clubhouse at 153 School Street, Assessors Map number 38, Lot number 22 in District A, filed with the town clerk on April 23rd, 2025. And just so everyone on the board is aware, because this is a non-conforming use, every time they make a change on the property, they need to get a special permit. And that's why they're before us. Okay. John Harden, would you like to present
Yes, please.
the application?
John Harden with Olson Lewis Architects, also resident at 54 School Street. So very nice to be here tonight. what we're about to show you is the result of about 14 months worth of a master plan that we did with the Essex County Club. And yes, that was not a small task, but it was a really great process, and a really great project that we hope to have your approval of tonight for a special permit. So this first slide is very simple. It's just to show you School Street is down here at the bottom of the slide. There's a long driveway into the property to the main parking area, at which point you come to the front of the existing building. And to your left is the paddle area, both the existing and also the proposed. But you can see that, in fact, you'll know if you've driven by or walked by, you'll see the tennis courts, both the clay courts and the grass courts, as well as the driving range at the edge of School Street. And it's a very long distance to the clubhouse. There actually used to be a polo field, believe it or not, which if you've ever seen one like at Myopia, they're enormous. There used to be a polo field in that area where the tennis courts and the golf course currently is. So it's quite a ways off of School Street. It is adjacent to some property lines. Let me just zoom in here so you have a sense. And I'll have more descriptive drawings here in a moment, just bear with me. But where we're relocating the paddle courts, it will actually be technically a little bit further away from the property line rather than closer. And then where we're proposing the addition to the back of the building is, as I said, on the back of the building. So it's not within public view, nor is it anywhere close to a property line. So in terms of setbacks and impacts on the adjacent properties, it will not be.
What's the proper terminology of these courts? Is it paddle courts or paddleball courts?
Paddle courts. Paddle.
Okay.
It's getting quite confusing because there's pickle now, there's paddle, there's paddle. Don't even go there, but that's a new thing as well. Not here.
Wow.
Yeah, but it's getting more popular. And yes, paddle is a winter sport. So just going to show you a few images here. This is an existing aerial view of Essex County Club. The most remarkable thing about it as you drive in is this gravel parking lot at the center of the club, which I've always found a little strange that in front of such a nice building, there was this dust bowl. So part of the project is to reorganize that and actually gain many more parking spots. You can see how haphazardly people park in and around this. Very inefficient and never really made sense. But of course, as we talked about with the previous project, when this building was built, when this was all begun, there weren't any cars. In fact, there were horses and carriages. And there was an existing building that actually was perpendicular to this current building. It was a beautiful wood shingle-style building built in 1893 when the club was founded. It then very quickly added an addition to it. Believe it or not, they kind of thought, gosh, we goofed on that addition. We should have put it on the other end. They detached it, picked it up, moved it over, put it on the other end. Sounds crazy, but they did it. And then it all burned down. So by 1913, basically, that building was gone. And they came straight back again and built this brick building, clearly one that they did not want to burn, and then added an addition over here to the left side, which was actually the men's locker at the time. So a lot of history here with the building, but a lot of what we're doing, really actually most of what we're doing in this project, you guys will never see. It's on the inside of the building. It's fixing things in the basement, new heating system, new electrical system, a new roof on the building, things like that that are purely maintenance, but that really need to be taken care of. But the thought was during this planning process, while we're doing this work, there might be some things that we could improve as well for the member experience on this project. So as I go to this next slide and show you the proposed, I mentioned the parking and how that will be reorganized, safer, more efficient. But then there was also an opportunity to improve the paddle area. The 3 paddle courts are in tough shape. The existing paddle hut is in really tough shape and quite small, not really adequate. So, and we were in need of a 4th court. And where the 3 courts were located, there really wasn't a good way to add a 4th court. The orientation matters, and without taking up more parking that we didn't want to lose, we proposed relocating the courts actually just to the left of the existing courts. One of the benefits of that was we could use the space where the paddle courts used to be and create some more parking. So there's a real side benefit to doing that. I should mention also that the paddle hut during the summer does get used by the children's programs. So they tend to play tennis up here and then come use the hut. So this parking area will create a much safer pickup and drop off for the kids instead of all being congested here in this paved area. This is the existing site plan. As you can see, that central parking area, the existing paddle back here, and the clubhouse located here. And here's the proposed, again, the updated parking area in the center, the new parking, the new paddle, and then you see this light red shape here on the back side of the clubhouse. That is the proposed addition to the clubhouse. When we're looking at the options, many options for how to best solve some of the issues, there were 2 things that really drove this addition for the clubhouse. First of all, we wanted to impact the existing building as little as possible. So we didn't want to build or add on more than we had to. But there was a need for a bag room that actually worked properly for the golf program. The current one is located in the bowels of the building. The floor here a little bit. So the existing bag room is in this storage room here, way too small and located quite deep in the building. Very difficult to come in and out and get bags. The ideal place was to locate it outside the footprint of the building with immediate access outside so that one can get their golf bags and get on their way with some other small additions of office space for the golf folks. A lot of the work, again, will never be seen from the outside, but reworking all of this lower level basement for better employee facilities. Believe it or not, there's a single toilet for the employees on this lower level. So we are replacing that with a proper employee break room, proper men's and women's locker rooms for the employees, as well as toilets and showers. And then lots of other work down here. But really focusing on this addition, the bag room really drove the size of that piece. The other piece that was important was creating more casual dining. So there was an opportunity while we were building that lower level bag room to push some existing dining out and enclose an existing patio space, and then over the bag room create the new outdoor dining patio space. Again, trying to impact this as little as possible. And then upstairs on the second floor, not a whole lot of work really to mention, except that we are doing a new elevator as part of the project.
Are those residential rooms?
They are. Believe it or not, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 residential rooms that are available for guests to stay, kind of like a little boutique hotel.
Oh, that's cool.
Some members actually come for a month at a time and spend their time here. They'll play golf, they'll use the pool. Families who actually have moved away often come back and do that because they've enjoyed it. But again, one of the focuses of this plan was to try and improve some of the employee facilities.
And the employees live there too?
Some, not all. In fact, not as many as we would have liked.
Okay.
So we've added in this plan, these 4 rooms will now become not guest rooms, but employee rooms. That's a big deal.
Okay.
they can hire people much easier if they can provide a place to live.
Given our rent. Yeah.
And this is just a close-up of the outdoor dining and the new casual dining. But by the way, when we were out there yesterday, I told you, I stood about where this little hand is right here and said, this is the corner of the building. I was way wrong. It was more towards the front of that ramp.
Okay,
So
that's
much
what we
closer
thought.
to where
Okay.
you guys were standing and not where I was.
Okay,
Apologies for that.
we had it right.
And we did it.
So part of the fun story here, the existing room that is here is called the jury box. That's located there, and it was added actually quite early after the building was built. But it's called that because the first tee is just out here. So people sit in there, have a drink or have a meal, and they look out and they poke fun at the people who are teeing
They
off
judge you.
at the first tee. So we think that this will be in a similar way a very fun place for the casual dining with views out towards the first tee, and then also the outdoor dining for the same reason. And then easy access also from the course up into this space from the outside. So these drawings just show the elevation. Now, of course, the goal was to try and make this look as little changed as possible. So as we were there yesterday, or if you happen to go there to see it, it looks remarkably like this. In fact, there's a drawing on the lower left here, which is from the last time an addition was done. I think this was done in the 90s. Actually, the veranda was done since then as well. But it's meant to look exactly like it is, just a little bit closer to us because we are adding that addition towards us, towards the first tee. And this is a view from the end of the first tee, really looking back towards the building. And everything that is brick here, of course, is existing. Everything that is white here is that enclosing of the existing patio. And then, of course, the patio in front and the bag room down below, really hidden from view. And then the other view looking towards the doors to the bag room. And then the bag room down below, the patio up top, and the new enclosed casual dining just behind them. That's the last slide.
Rob, do you have any questions? No. Good, no.
I'm good.
Is there anybody, can you take down your,
Yes.
is there anybody on Zoom who would like to speak to this application? If so, raise your hand in Zoom. Okay, with that, I move to close the public hearing and have the board enter into deliberations with respect to the application. Do I have a second?
Second. Oh.
I waited.
I know, you waited. I didn't get there fast enough.
Vote. Rob,
Yes.
Georgia,
Yes.
Don,
Yes.
Sarah votes yes. Okay. What are your thoughts?
I think it's all pretty straightforward. I mean, I understand why they're before us and stuff. Looks like a pretty reasonable request.
It's not exactly right next to neighbors.
Nope. Nope. Just be careful where you put your dumpster.
No, I mean, you guys are doing work on pretty much every level, right?
Yes.
So if you were gonna add up all the value of all the work areas in the entire building, it would not reach 1/3 of the total value of the building. Is that fair to
So actually, the area, yeah, the areas we're touching, we're being like a scalpel.
say?
So the third floor or attic level is no work. The second floor, where those rooms are being changed, it's probably, if I were to guess, 20% of that floor area And then even the first floor, much of it, the existing men's locker, the existing bar, probably less than 50% of that footprint. So yes, it's actually less work in the total than it seems, even though I described it as being quite a bit. Most of the systems in the basement is going to be quite large.
Can you tell he's our building
Yes,
inspector?
I know.
No, I mean, obviously, the building's worth a significant amount of money. So,
Yeah.
but the construction you're doing is probably not going to get anywhere near a third. I always,
No, it's good to.
I always question, what might require accessibility,
Yes.
and that is going to affect it.
Yes, so we are doing, the entire building will be accessible.
Okay.
So
Is that voluntary, or is that because of the project?
it's my belief that we're going to be close enough that well, let me put that two ways.
Okay.
We have several members who are in need of accessibility. So, and the front entry is so close. It's one step and a second step, and it's really not that hard to do. So we have it accommodated currently because of the last project, but it's not at the main entry, it's just over to the right. And that's not in the spirit of the guidelines. So, so yes, we will be fully accessible. That doesn't mean that every floor gets an elevator. For example, the top floor, because it's not public, does not need it. But the lower level will be, because that is client fit or member facing. And the second floor will be because it's also member facing.
So you're adding elevators
An
where they
elevator.
don't exist, right? And one elevator,
One
and that's part of this project.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
All right.
Definitely. We'll get forgiveness for some stuff, like there's lots of historic doorknobs in the place that will probably, I don't know, the levers don't quite look right in a building like this from 1913. But one guest room on the second floor will be accessible with an accessible toilet.
Good.
I thought the site visit was very informative. I appreciate that the parking's changing. I think we had talked about if we could mark it on the stone dust and the gravel, but I think the way you've configured it here, more cars can park. I learned a lot about paddle and why the courts need to be aligned the way they are. And I think the child safety is a big plus. It looks like a good easy drop off, pick up, and then mom or dad can just get on out after they drop off. So, and then the addition in the back, it matches the facade that's there now, just bumps it out a little bit. So I no concerns or comments.
I should mention there's also an administrative review for the stormwater
Oh, okay.
that is in process.
You ready for me to make a motion? I move to approve the application of John Harden, Olson Lewis Plus Architects on behalf of the Essex County Club for a special permit under section 7.2 and 12.5 of the zoning bylaw and other relief as may be necessary to alter a non-conforming use by removing 3 paddle courts, adding 4 paddle courts, raising and reconstructing the paddle hut, altering the parking and increasing the number of parking spaces, and constructing a 1,642 square foot addition on the rear of the clubhouse at 153 School Street, Assessors Map number 38, Lot number 22 in District A, filed with the town clerk on April 23rd, 2025, based on a finding the proposed changes, the proposed change in use, no, changes is good. The proposed changes in use are in harmony with the purpose and intent of the bylaw, will not be substantially more detrimental or injurious to the neighborhood in which it is located than the existing nonconforming use, and the requirements under section 12.5.2 of the zoning bylaw for the grant of a special permit have been met. Based on the condition, the change in location of the paddle courts and hut, the alteration in the parking and construction of this 1,652 square foot addition on the rear of the clubhouse are constructed in accordance with the following drawings and depictions prepared by Olson Lewis Plus Architects, package dated 4/23/2025, with plans and depictions prepared February 4th, 2025. MP 13 clubhouse renovation and addition, ZBA permit, existing aerial view and proposed aerial view, existing plan and proposed plan, lower level plan, first floor plan, and second floor plan, revised addition, elevation, exterior view, page 11, and exterior view, page 12.
Second.
Second, Georgia second. Any discussion on the motion? Take a vote. Rob?
Yes.
Georgia?
Yes.
Sean?
Yes.
Sarah votes yes. Would somebody like to write it?
I'm happy to write it because I do a site visit.
Who would like to review it?
I'll read.
Rob will review it. Okay. So you're good. Thank you.
Thank you all. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Let's have a good night.
Okay. Next is review of the March and April minutes. I looked at them and was okay with them. What do other people think?
I'm okay with them.
I'm okay.
There was one I was not present for, even though I reviewed both, but do you have them printed out, Sarah? Can you see which one I wasn't at? I think it was,
March 26th.
okay, so I'll abstain from that, but I vote for.
Okay. So I have a motion I make a motion to approve the,
Thank you.
thanks,
Thanks, guys. Good night.
minutes from March 26th and April 23rd. Rob,
Yes.
Abstain.
you're voting for, abstaining from the 26th and voting for the 23rd?
Yeah, is that the one I was not at? Which one was I not?
You're abstaining
I'm
from
so
March,
sorry.
March 26th
Yes,
and voting for April 23rd?
yes.
Yes.
And Sarah votes yes. Okay, minutes are approved. The only decision outstanding is 19 Smith Point, which Diane needs to do, since we just got the minutes. I'll remind her she needs to do it. We did not receive any applications,
Wow.
so we don't have a meeting in June.
Everyone's doing their summer fun.
No
Great.
And the only other thing I wanted to say is with the appeal of the SLV decision to Superior Court,
Mhm.
it hasn't even been assigned a judge yet. And it sounds like they're gonna start looking at it maybe next year, even though it's on the fast track.
Yeah.
So nothing's
It'll be a while.
imminent.
Hurry up and wait, is my
Yeah.
saying.
Which courthouse is it going to?
Salem,
Salem.
Ah, okay.
yeah, if it's funny.
The brick one.
Because we filed the appeal.
Ah, yes.
Yeah, the one in downtown Salem. I've been there several times, the jury duty.
Yeah.
Anything else? People want to raise? Okay. Colleen Moore is a new member.
Okay.
She'll be available. She wasn't available tonight. She would have been available in June, but we don't have a meeting. So,
Yeah. All right.
I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Beat into it.
Yes.
Gotta be quicker than that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you all.